Hi everyone, welcome to another real estate video. This is Javier Vidana, the real estate YouTube guy here in Phoenix, Arizona, helping you accomplish your home goals. Where are we, you might ask? Well, in today's video, we're gonna do something a little special. A lot of times when you're buying your first house or even your second house, the traditional method of doing things is you buy the house, you live in it, you either sell it or you rent it out, and you keep doing the same. But with technology nowadays and creative minds, there's starting to be more ways where you can use your first house to build a little side hustle or income and doing it the right way. So in today's video, we are actually on site to a client who I just helped purchase this property, and he's doing something very, very cool and creative. So we're gonna talk to him, talk a little more about how he's using his first house as a passive income and how you could do it. And without further ado, let's bring out our guest, our honored guest, Mr. Serge Lepescu. Come on out. Woo! Welcome, sir. How are you?
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing?
All right, Serge, welcome to the channel. I know this is a kind of a weird format, and we've never been this close in the last few months. So thank you for
What's
coming.
up, everyone?
So this is a beautiful house, and as he's talking, we're going to be showing you a little bit of footage of it. So let me ask you this first, man.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Before we get to the details, why not just do the traditional route of buying something, living it for a little bit, and then renting it?
Man, that's a really good question, and he knows me a lot just because we've been working really closely these last couple weeks, months to get this property. But with that being said, I'm just a very driven kind of guy, and I look at everything that I do as an investment, as an opportunity. So if something, makes more sense, even just short-term or long-term, by going the short-term rental route, and it also will cash flow as a long-term, so I wanted to make sure that could be my exit strategy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to look at a property that made sense for me to be able to house hack it, if you guys don't know what that is.
House hack, what is that?
House hacking is where you're actually living in the home for free while it's cash flowing.
His idea was, if we can find a property that's in a nice area, an upcoming area, and have a guest house, he could live in the guest house and then at that point rent the main house as his Airbnb. Now, initially, we were looking in a certain pocket of area, we were looking in a certain area, but what I really admire about this guy is as we started looking, he would expand the search. He would do it on his own. He would go on these sites, he'd start to figure out, well, maybe this area works, maybe this area works. But what are some of the things that you're looking for? Because obviously if this was your house, you'd probably be looking at a different area, different time zone there, all that good stuff. So what were you looking out for, especially with it being a short-term rental? Me being,
it being my first home, I was more looking for something that made sense for me as of right now, like Javier preaches on his channel. Mm-hmm. It may not be the ideal property I want, but what I was really looking for was something that I could live in comfortably, have my setup. Like he said, I do YouTube as well, and I do other things from home. So for me, that was one of the key things. But then again, I was willing to sacrifice not having a kitchen or not having a proper bathroom per se. So when I was looking around, I had to make sure that it met some of my needs, but it didn't have to be all my wants. And then it also had to meet mainly all the criterias for Airbnb.
Gotcha, which means what? Remodeled,
yeah. It has to be a quiet neighborhood, no alleyways in the back, even though there were some that we looked at that had alleyways. It just had to overall feel like a really comfortable, safe environment for the guests that came here. I didn't want them to feel like they should be scared or have people coming and knocking on their doors and windows. Yep. It had to be a really safe location, but also close to everything that's going on within the city. Some of the criteria I was definitely looking for was the main house. The main house had to make sense. It had to be nice, had to be livable. I wanted to charge a premium price for Airbnb. I didn't want to just find something and list it for $80 a night. I wanted to make sure that if this investment is going to pay off, it's got to be at a premium price. So it definitely had to be remodeled. It definitely had to fit my style, because I'm ultimately going to be the one coming in and out of here, cleaning it, whatever it may be, living at the guest house. So it had to fit me and my personality. And then secondly, driving through the day, making sure everything's nice, talk to the neighbors, get a feel of the area, get a feel of the neighborhood, and go there. Trust me, if you do that, you will ultimately be shocked of what that property is doing and what it's not doing, and how people are actually, who your neighbors are going to be, pretty much. And then on top of that, also the regulations. For instance, here in Phoenix, they're pretty lenient with Airbnb. and the taxes are lower than like say Scottsdale or Tempe. And I just know for a fact, like, people aren't going to party in my house as much as they would with like Scottsdale and Tempe, right? There was on the news just a couple weeks ago of this house that almost got literally demolished because they threw this massive party in Tempe, and it was all over the news, and the guy had cameras inside.
Well, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So what do you need to start this journey? If you want to use your first house as a side investment, what do you got to do? Well, you would think that the down payment and the financing has to be the main problem. The reality is it's not. It doesn't matter if you do an FHA 3.5% down, you do a conventional 3%, 5%, 10%, or 20%. It's all about the occupancy that's the issue. And the reason is because there's this thing called capital gains. If you're living at a property, you're the main occupant, which means you're over 51% of the time you have lived in this property, then it is considered your sole and owned property. So if you're living in it and you buy it FHA 3.5% down, as long as you live in it for the first year, after that point, you can do whatever you want with it. You want to do the traditional rental route, you want to do this Airbnb thing where maybe you don't have a guest house, but you want to do this Airbnb thing, you are allowed to do that. I would caution for that first year. Now, Serge found a great loophole where he's actually living in it. I mean, he's here almost all the time, working out of the guest home, so he's technically here, right? So obviously the premium thing to do is do what he did. Find a house with the guest house, live out of the guest house, rent out the main house. However, two caveats on that is usually it's at a higher price, either higher price if you want a nicer neighborhood, or you have to not buy in a great neighborhood if it's going to be a little cheaper. And you have to really look at those things, especially if you're going to be renting it out. So if you buy it FHA 3.5%, conventional 3.5%, even 20%, it doesn't matter. If you're going to be the main occupant in there, which means you live over there 51% of the time, you have to do it for at least 1 year. Regarding down payment assistance, if you want to do this with down payment assistance, there are some restrictions there because some of them do require you to be an occupant for more than 3 years, not just 1 year. So that being said, I would recommend you guys, if you want to do this route, do FHA, do conventional, low down payment, but you have to be an occupant for more than a year. I wouldn't even play around with the idea of you being there 51% of the time. Capital gains is not nothing to mess around with. If you want to sell that property 3 years later, 4 years later, and then you're trying to not pay capital gains tax, but it turns out you didn't live there more than 51% of the time, you can get some serious issues with the IRS. So I would personally, because I like playing things safe, just live in it fully for a year and then do what you want with it. If you want to risk that 51% thing, that is on you. So one thing I also admired about what he wanted to do is we looked at some properties that needed work, but he ultimately saw the value in buying something that, you know, maybe you're paying a slight premium on, but the work's been done. And one thing we verified during our inspection period is that the work was done properly. So in this case, they did an excellent remodel. They just forgot one thing in the electrical work. So we made sure they did a great job and redid all that. So he could have bought something maybe 20 or 30 grand cheaper, but he saw the value in seeing something remodeled. So he just buys it and he's ready to make money right away. So when you got your first house, you got a really nice property. You were able to convert it now where you're going to make, it's not going to be your main source of income, but it's going to be like a passive source of income.
Yeah.
But it can potentially be a main source eventually one day.
The reason why I went down this route was because of the scalability. I've seen over and over again so many people do it, and it's doing well. More people are actually traveling this year than ever before, and the platform for Airbnb has only grown. There's actually more demand than there is supply, which is astonishing. So that was a huge, this is still starting out. Like this isn't, it's not even hit its peak yet. I mean, it's still just growing. And I know that Airbnb is going to be going live with their company next year. So, it's going to go on the stock market and everything, and it's just going to ultimately allow their platform to grow more. The whole idea of an entrepreneur, business owner is not to reinvent the wheel. I think too many people try to do that, and I saw this opportunity and I said, you know what, if it's successful for other people, I can definitely do it. Yeah. And that's the whole point, guys, is to just grow. If there's anything that I get out of this entire thing, if it goes belly up or it goes really well, is the experience, is the fact that I put myself out there.
One thing I want to mention with this whole Airbnb thing is I was shocked to find out that you don't have to live in the main city. Like, he has friends that are living in middle of, what city that you wouldn't consider a major city in that state that are succeeding in Airbnb. It doesn't matter where you're from or where you're staying at. Odds are you will find someone to rent out your place.
Yeah. And, a lot of people would say, well, who's your competition or how many listings are in your city. They're not necessarily your competition, guys. At the end of the day, your only competition is the hotels, right? The hotel industry.
You are in a pretty creative business. When I first talked to you, I didn't believe you. I thought, dude, honestly, I thought you inherited like your business, because I was like, what is this young guy doing owning assisted living facilities? So as the more you've taught me, the more I've researched it, the more I've been in your channel, there's actually opportunities out there for you to turn your house into an assisted facility. So
yes.
He talks about it more in his channel. So if you're interested in doing that, do a deep dive into his channel, go to his channel, subscribe, like all his videos. So if you want to just leave us with the teaser, if somebody wants to do that, what are the restrictions and what are the guidelines for that?
100%. Yeah. So guys, that's what I love about real estate, is being able to be so creative about it. And you have to just be open-minded to a lot of different things and not be so caught up on the details of what ifs. There's so many people that reach out to me and what if that, what if this. But with that being said, with residential, you can actually start an assisted living home. And I'm gonna use Arizona because that's where we're at and where I'm located and where my business is at. So here in the state of Arizona, they do have a department specifically for assisted living, and it's called Department of Health Services. And what they do is they regulate these homes, okay? And at this point, you have to I'm gonna just do a rundown of what you would need to do, and I'm gonna make it quick, and you guys can go to the channel and watch the rest. But you would need to get zoned first, and zoning will allow you to either zone for 5 to 10 beds, and you have to keep it under 10 beds. Other states allow you to go higher, but for here in Arizona, 10 is the most. But if you go above that, it's considered commercial. It's not residential anymore. And so once you get approved by zoning and your home is allowed to be zoned for assisted living, they will tell you everything if you need a fire sprinkler, etc. So zoning will tell you all that. And then once you're zoned, you pretty much go through the application process with the Department of Health Services. You always have to just be on top of it and constantly call them. I was pretty annoying when I was doing it. And once zoning is approved, the application process, if you send it in, you might actually miss something on the application, but my recommendation is actually go to the Department of Health Services and have them help you fill out the application. That way you don't miss anything, and just to verify everything. And they're pretty quick about it. I believe when I put in my application, it took them maybe a week or two, and then the turnaround time for them to schedule my initial inspection on the home was about a week. And once they came in and they inspected it, there is a lot of stuff that goes into being prepared for your inspection and what they'll look for, but I'm not going to get into all that detail. But yeah,
like you said, success is, it leaves blueprints. So if you want to learn from him, someone who's done it, not only does he make videos on the topic, he offers coaching if that's the route you want to take. Regarding the ownership and finance side of it, once again, once you have a house for more than a year, it's free game. You can do whatever you like with it if you're not down payment assistance. However, then that topic of occupancy comes in, and if it's not your primary occupancy, then you have to watch out for capital gains. So that being said, I'll let you guys talk to him if you're interested.
Yeah, guys, drop a like for his channel and this video. Make sure you guys subscribe. Also, go check out my channel if you guys haven't yet. And like he said, I do offer coaching and consulting for assisted living, and there's a lot of different avenues to go down that. And I mean, who knows? Maybe Javier ends up selling you guys a property that you guys do assisted living out of.
There you go.
You never know.
Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.